Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Almost every day, we ask each other the question, I am so concerned about Israel, what can I do? Well, now you know the answer. In addition to prayers and advocacy for the swift and safe return of the hostages, for Israeli soldiers and their families, for peace between Israel and her neighbors, and an end to suffering of innocents in Israel and Gaza, now you know what you can do. Use your voice and your vote to help shape the Israel that with resilience and hope will rise again from the scars and ashes of terrorist violence and the destruction of war. When you cast your vote for vote reform, Slate 3, you will be casting your vote for an Israel refounded upon the Zionist values we as Reform Jews hold most dear: democracy, equality, pluralism, the protection of minorities and of society's most vulnerable, and the holding stubborn and fast to a fragile but necessary vision of peace. When you vote reform, and urge your friends and family members and adult children to do the same, you will be casting your vote for the recognition and right to funding for Reform congregations and institutions in Israel that are burgeoning precisely because they are bringing the vision of a dynamic and creative Judaism to an Israeli society that desperately needs it. You will be casting your vote that Israel will continue to be a home for your children and mine, for your grandchildren and mine, rejecting the ultra-Orthodox and ultra-nationalist forces of arrogance and intolerance that would try to rein us in or squeeze us out. So here is some math. World Zionist Congress takes place every 5 years. There are 500 seats in the World Zionist Congress. 153 of those seats are allocated to the United States. In 2015, the Reform slate came in first, garnered 21,000 votes, which translated into 56 seats. In 2020, the Reform slate came in first, garnered 31,000 votes, a 50% increase. But because of the surge in the number of voters overall, and especially among the Orthodox parties, while our total votes increased from 21,000 to 31,000, and we came in first, our total number of seats decreased from 56 to 39, with the two leading Orthodox parties coming in second and third, combining for 52 seats. This year, the total number of votes is expected to increase yet again, which is why we have to redouble our efforts to turn out the Reform vote in order to establish the influence we deeply need. That is why Temple Emanu-El, which had about 200 folks vote in 2020, has set a goal of 1,000 Temple members voting between now and May 4th. Now, if some of this sounds like a partisan scrambling for our piece of the pie, well, some of it is. But this is not just some intra-Jewish color war where we want to make sure our team wins. And this is not the importing or imposing of American Reform Judaism on Israeli society. Reform Jewish Zionism is not about our ideas of social justice or our ideas of tikkun olam. It is about the ideal of a just society at the heart of Zionism itself, as inscribed in Israel's Declaration of Independence, with these words: "The state of Israel will be open for Jewish immigration and for the ingathering of the exiles. It will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisaged by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions, and it will be faithful to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations." Your vote for the Reform Slate is a vote for that vision. Your vote for the Reform Slate is a vote for the relationship with Israel that is fundamental to our identity as a congregation. You had the opportunity before services. I think you'll have the opportunity after services. You'll have lots of opportunities. You're getting lots of emails. It costs $5 and it takes 5 minutes to register and to vote and to begin to shape the future of our home of the heart. As some of you know, I'm honored to be one of the delegates listed on the Reform Slate. And should I be privileged to travel to Israel for the World Zionist Congress in October, I will be even more deeply honored to know that I go representing you. So I want to tell you a story about why this is so important to me personally. And it took place on a temple trip to Israel in 2013. On that trip, 2 wonderful congregants, Susan Jardina and her husband Frank, alav hashalom, renewed their wedding vows. Why? Because when they first married in 1990, neither Frank nor Susan were Jewish. They each converted to Judaism separately at temple over the ensuing years, and Susan wanted them to have a Jewish wedding now that they were both Jewish. So for Susan's birthday in 2013, Frank gave her and them the temple trip to Israel and a Jewish wedding to boot. And that was what led our Temple Emanu-El community to climb down off of our buses at Solomon's Pillars in the valley of Timnah in the Arava Desert, about half an hour north of Eilat, and set up a chuppah at the base of the stunning sandstone rock formations and gather around Susan and Frank for their Jewish wedding. Frank, alav hashalom, died 30 days ago today. But what he always remembered, and what none of us will ever forget, is that in the course of the ceremony, various hikers had paused in the trails in the rock formations to look down at this crazy wind-blown chuppah on the desert floor with a bunch of people circled around and singing. And when we came to the end of the ceremony and Frank broke the glass, all the people on the surrounding trails shouted Mazel Tov. Right along with us. And that is why I am voting reform. Because I believe in an Israel where the people in the hills shout Mazel Tov when they see a chuppah in the valley floor. Because I believe in an Israel where 2 Jews by choice, converted by American Reform rabbis in Dallas, Texas, deepen their love for each other and their love for the Jewish people by standing together under a single talit. Because I believe in an Israel where people shout Mazel Tov without pausing to ask you who you voted for or where your rabbi was ordained or whether your chuppah is kosher. I believe in an Israel where every member of this great congregation can feel at home. An Israel that heightens our sense of Jewish commitment and Jewish pride. Now more than ever, your voice matters. Now more than ever, your vote matters. Your vote for Reform, Slate 3, is a vote for the chuppah in the desert and the shouting from the hills. It is a vote for a vibrant Jewish future, inspiring Jewish values, and a secure, just, and enduring Jewish state. Now you know what you can do. Shabbat Shalom.